Hello, guys, and welcome to Two Chicks Tell All. It's your girl Tay Tay here,
and Cece.
So we don't really have a disclaimer this week. It's about some crazy stories.
Yeah, just some things that are one in the news right now, front and center, and another crazy story about another just unbelievable kind of situation story type thing. So
I think it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Just because we both kind of found some interesting information about some different things that we researched.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be good.
And knowing what most people already know about one of these stories too. So the first one we're just going to dive into all this trial that's going on right now with Alex Murdaugh, and obviously there's a lot of people I'm sure that like tuned in for him testifying in his case where he's being accused of killing his wife and son. Had the privilege to be able to kind of listen to it, and it's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy because
it is.
It so much has come out, about all the lies and things that he's told and this and that in the end. So I just want to take you back to a little bit of the beginning of the history, because there were some facts or some things I read that I really didn't know myself about this. And this is hitting home because we're in South Carolina, and so this is a story. And I think at one point, because was involved in the legal real estate field more so, but did conventions and things like that. And so I ran across a lot of lawyers in my time, and I think I actually might have met him at one time. But anyway, so his family goes, and he had 3 members that consistently served as solicitors. And in 2014, Alex and other members of the family started kind of getting involved in investigations and crimes and things like that. And some of this stuff dates back to like some of his other family members, which was kind of crazy. So from 1920 to 2006, 3 of the Murdaugh family served as solicitor for 5 county areas of South Carolina. Described by NPR as one of South Carolina's most prominent legal families, the Murdaughs were featured in the cover story for a 1989 issue of Carolina Lawyer magazine. So some of the background about like seeing Murdaugh. So he founded the one-man law firm that started out in Hampton County. And in 1920, he became the solicitor in the 14th Judicial Circuit and held the position until 1940. And then he was actually killed in Murdaugh Sr., who was succeeded by son Randolph Buster, served from 1940 to 1986. And in his 46 years in office, he ran unopposed only twice. So, I mean, this family, like, because it's all tight in the area, I mean, these people just, it didn't take much, because they had a lot of people on their side, basically. But he actually was indicted some bootleggers to move their steel into a neighboring county to avoid the police. But he was then later kind of acquitted of that. So, but just to speed up some of the stuff so we can kind of get all this stuff starts unfolding with him. And it originally kind of started where there was a investigation about his caretaker's housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. And she had been a long time caretaker for them, basically helped raise this kid, where she had fallen and was in the hospital and everything, and ended up basically dying from her injuries. She actually suffered a heart attack, but they said it was basically her stroke, but it was due to her injuries. And they made that or not made that, but she had the dogs had tripped her over, and that's how she fell. And so he had told her children that, he would take care of filing an insurance claim and everything, and taking care of helping them. And he went, this and that. So he, ever kind of drops the ball, never really gets back in touch with them. And then it happens to be an article written where it's shown that he represented the, know, the the Satterfield, and then got this. Boys were like, or kids were like, you know, we never got anything. What's up with that? So that's when
Right.
they actually finally got a lawyer. And so, kind of ironic, because the lawyer that they ended up getting um, Eric Bland is an attorney at firm that he works at. There, another attorney was upstairs from him, and I worked at that law office, and so I knew him. And so they go to him and everything, and he starts digging into this stuff. And I will say, I think it was in starting that, because that kind of started opening up and unraveling some of the other stuff financially for him, because it's like all of a sudden, well, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? So it wasn't long after that. So there's a situation with that Mallory Beach, that girl who got killed in a boating accident, where the son Paul was driving the boat, and the boat wrecks, and all these kids get thrown out of the boat, and she ends up dying. And that, and they talked to all those other kids, and I mean, it was horrific. And it was obvious they had like video footage of like him coming out of the bars and stuff down there. I think they docked somewhere in like a marina somewhere, and I mean, they were getting buying shots and stuff. He had a fake ID to them by other people, and that's another charge among all these other charges he's been charged with, that they provided the alcohol from them. So here this girl dies, he goes to the hospital, it's like hush, hush, hush. So that's to get things open up this case when it starts basically from the Satterfield incident. So then that's in 2019, that happens. And so then in 2021 is when Paul and Matt, obviously, if you hadn't been following it, is that they were both shot multiple times, two different weapons. They were found shot by the dog kennels, and granted, their estate was like this huge estate, this big house. Kennels were way down from the house. The story was that they had been, first he says he wasn't at the house, and then he did backtrack, admitted he lied, and said he was at the house, but only for a little while, because there was actually video footage that came out of him being filmed at the dog kennels with the dogs. I was down there, but it wasn't long. I wasn't down there long. Got on the golf cart, rode back to the house. Then I went and saw my mom. So, there's the time between when he left there, then supposedly when they were shot, and then he learned an answer, and he's had this feeling something was wrong, and shows back up, and they're both dead. And so he was interviewed like in the police car by this, I don't know, I'm assuming it must have been Sled or something. Have a calm demeanor until to one point where the officer asked him about what he saw when he walked up or whatever, and who he saw first or something. He said he saw Paul, and then he started getting really choked up, and and it was, kind of like, this were you and you saw this, like, if you did this, I don't get how, but maybe it was all of a sudden reality starting to hit him, and he did lose his shit, mind you, and start crying and saying that he saw his brains, out multiple times. And so, and then there was stories about first where he said he didn't touch him, and then now he's saying, yeah, he did. And it's just a lot of back and forth. Obviously, lying, lying, lying. And admittedly, he gets on the stand and he stole all this money from all these good people. I loved all these people. These people meant a lot to me. They were like family. They still mean a lot to me. I mean, but he's a good liar. So he's up there, telling all the good lies, you know, and making it. And I don't know, a little bit more through this and then I'll kind of wrap it up. But then so after those killings, then he tries the assisted suicide, where he has the guy meet him on the side of the street, his friend Curtis, he's been addicted to oxycodone and pain pills for a very long time, taking a lot of pills a day and always having pills in his pocket and this and that. And he tried to self detox a couple of times and never could. He finally did get treatment, blah, blah, blah. And he hadn't had a pill, I think he said on the stands what he admitted. So apparently he's clean now. But anyway, tried to get himself shot by this his drug dealer guy so that he would be dead because he didn't want to deal with him anymore because he knew he was going down, and he wanted his son to be able to have $1 million in insurance. He had like an $8 million policy, and then he had a $4 million policy. So he was going to be setting on Buster up, basically. That was his other son.
People
Buster
do some crazy shit for money, that's for sure.
Right, yeah. So that was it. He doesn't die, And then basically from that point on, that's where it just started really kind of losing. It went out of control for him after that point. That was when they finally did like arrest him. Well, he went to the rehab center. I shouldn't say that. He did go to the rehab center, but they did his bail and he got denied the bail. And so now he's on trial for the murders. So this is the current charges that are against him right now. He is faced with a total of 106 grand jury criminal charges, including financial fraud, drugs, and murder. There are 3 charges from the Hampton County grand jury, 4 charges from the Colleton County grand jury, and 99 charged separate lawsuits. He's been disbarred, his assets has been seized, and he's currently in jail. So my thought on listening to the whole testimony again is I think he obviously did it, had to have done it. I mean, there's just this guy, he was going down. He was going down bad, down. I don't know what he had done. Maybe he would have tried to really run and go somewhere else and just, try to, but the bottom line, I think, with it in this case, as far as like him being charged with those murders, is you have to have something. And as of now it's not to the other side yet to start presenting. So that's going to start to happen, coming this week. But there's no physical evidence that ties him to really killing them. They he's been able to kind of prove in the sense of gap that shows his phone being tracked, that he did leave, so he wasn't there when it technically could have happened or whatever. But there's no physical evidence, and that's what has to be proved. Is you have to have proof, like they kept saying, if the glove don't fit, you have to acquit. It's kind of like you got to have the evidence. And I hate to say it in this case, but the man's a liar, obviously, and his family, it kind of goes way back where some of his other family members didn't take too kindly to, abiding by and doing the right thing and got wrapped up in bad things. And, his son, I mean, that whole thing with, and that poor girl died, and he was very responsible for that. And what was so sad is like, well, did Alex see that, well, something's going to come of that, and so know go ahead and whack him. And I believe that's because I think they said that she apparently came up upon and saw him already shot or something, is what I think I might have read somewhere. So anyway, court resumes next week. And so tell us your thoughts about that case. We'll feature some of your comments about that, because obviously that's a hot topic here in South Carolina right now. So Tay is gonna kind of go into another very interesting story, because I did see the Lifetime movie, but she will get into this story about the girl in the basement.
Oh my, what a crazy ride.
What a crazy
is all I have to say. So basically, that comes up on my screen that looks like it might be interesting. I have a knack for doing that. So I was looking, I think I was on Hulu or one of those types of things, and the girl in the basement popped up. Well, I didn't, I had to, rent it and pay money to see it. And I wasn't really sure how invested that I wanted to get into this just because I didn't know how good it was. So Cece had actually watched it a while back, and we all know that I love a good Lifetime movie.
And let me just say this though, it was one of those, how like sometimes you're like flipping through the channels and something catches you. So this was a catcher for me. I call this was a catcher because I saw real shit to his daughter kind of thing, and it got me. And once it got me, I couldn't stop watching it. And then Tay-Tay's gonna pick up again because that was one when she mentioned it. I said, "Oh my god, that was a crazy movie." So, okay,
Lifetime Movie Club just so I could watch this movie. But I figured that I would get a lot of, watch out of that. And I figured that I would get my money's worth. So it's completely fine. So got the Lifetime Movie Club app and watched. You guys know what that is about? It is about a girl named Sarah who turns 18 years old, and she has a very controlling father.
Based on true story.
Yeah. And you know, the dad is very controlling thing, like she sneaks out of the house to see her boyfriend and all this other stuff. And it just gets the dad like really, I guess, riled up, for a lack of better words. So on her 18th birthday, she kind of has this plan. Oh, I'll be on my own and explore the world because that's what I've always wanted to do. We all have that moment in time where we feel like that. Typical young adult shit. That's what I call it. So the dad, it's something that he's totally against because he knows that he will have no more control over his daughter. He's a pretty sick man. And we're going to get into why he's a sick man because the movie kind of proves it. So, daughter Sarah, that's the girl's name. He gets Sarah to come down to the basement to like help him with something. That's how he kind of ropes her in to try to get her down there. So she comes down. She helps him with something. He gets thrown into a chamber and gets locked in there for about, what is it, 18 to 20 years?
18 years. And yeah, and he has like this basement. It's like this huge basement in this house. And there's another, it has like a little hallway or something that not like, it's not like a little basement, I guess you could say. So he has this other end of it. Basically, I don't even know if it was soundproof or something. He had it pretty much mapped out. And then after he gets her down there, he starts bringing in like refrigerator, you know, basically sets it up like a mattress is on the floor, but more or less.
Yeah, but it's just kind of crazy. Like the whole idea is crazy because he hides the fact that he kidnapped her and she's down in the basement for 18 years.
Yeah.
Like the mom has no idea. Have you, like, there's constantly searching for her. Have you heard from Sarah? Do you know anything about where Sarah's at? And he knew the whole time, but he didn't say a word. So he had her down there for 18 years and what is it?
And raped her and had 4 children. Like,
yeah.
Well, one
which
died.
There was actually more children, which we're going to get into that because, you know, it's actually based on a true story, which I find to be completely sick. I guess that there are people out there that on the story that the girl in the basement is based off of. So it is called, so the guy is named Joseph Fritzl. All right. So the Fritzl case came into the limelight in the year 2008 when a lady that she had been held captive for 24 years by her father, Joseph Fritzl. Joseph used to assault, abuse her sexually, and even raped her many times while she was held captive in a concealed area. Elizabeth had to give birth to 7 babies, out of which 3 remained captive with their mother, and 3 were brought up by Fritzl and his wife, Rosemarie, and 1 child died prematurely just a few days.
Oh, because I forgot. Okay,
yeah,
I'm trying to remember. Like, he brought the baby home or something.
Yeah, leaves the baby on the doorstep and like writes a fake note.
Yes, writes a fake note that like the girl had. Yeah, and that was another thing too. Is the dad almost and like, you know, was making her write these letters basically saying, you know, I'm okay, but I had this baby, I can't take care of it. And so, yeah, that's right. They did rape. Yeah. Sorry, brain fart. I remember now.
So based on Elizabeth's complaint, Joseph was false imprisonment, rape, and other sections of the penal code. He was convicted and found guilty on all accounts, and the court had sentenced him to life in prison in March 2009. Elizabeth Fritzl was born in Austria in the year 1966 to Joseph and Rosemarie Fritzl. She had 6 siblings herself, 3 brothers and 3 sisters, which I think in the movie Sarah was an only child, possibly.
I think so. Yeah.
Some differing details between the movie that they kind of base the idea on and the actual story. So her father used to abuse her when she was just 11 years old in 1977. After completion of her schooling, Elizabeth ran away from home in 1983 and went into hiding along with her friend in Vienna. Police found her within 20 days and returned her back to her parents, which is probably, I hate to say it, probably one of the worst things. She later rejoined her waitress course and completed the same to get a job in the nearby city. In the year 1984, Joseph Fritzl called Elizabeth to assist him in refitting a door her in the basement of their home in Austria. Elizabeth, unaware of his intentions and how life will turn after this event, went down the stairs to help her father. When she was about to leave the place, she was held over by a small cloth piece soaked in over her nose.
Knocked out then, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
Elizabeth had no clue whatsoever that she was indeed helping her own father's plan to lock her up as a sex slave.
Yep.
Sick man.
Sick man.
Joseph Fritzl was planning to build an underground prison cell for years and received official well much earlier in the late 1970s.
Well, didn't it make it seem like it was a bunker or some kind of
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
kind of a little bit different in the movie as opposed to the actual story.
Right. Yeah.
So Elizabeth had to go through hell for the next on her was never ending. She was at times forced to catch rats with her bare hands. Summer was the worst time of year for her because of intolerable sweat,
Ugh.
which she narrated later in her writings. For the rest of the world, life was moving while Elizabeth tethered her up with an iron chain in such a way that she could barely move half a meter on either side of the bed. He then gave her more freedom to move by attaching the chain around her waist. As the chain was causing trouble during sexual activity for many years until she was released in April 2008. So here's the crazy part. And just as a little disclaimer, this does get a little bit sick. So if you're weak in the stomach, I wouldn't listen to this next part. In years, which resulted in 7 babies. 7. Elizabeth's children had to witness her abuse as they grew older. 3 of her kids were with her in the basement, and the other 3 children appeared mysteriously near the.
His wife would have at some point been like, "Where the hell are these babies coming from?"
I
just don't know. I just can't understand.
I think she was just like,
but she did help raise those kids after, like,
she did.
She was rescued.
So Marie and Joseph Fritzl did raise 3 of the children.
Right.
Jeez. It was pretty normal in those days of the Cold War to build nuclear bunkers in the basement of the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was what he said. Like,
so getting permission was not difficult for Elizabeth, that she was well but could not look after the kids. He would then drive miles to post them back to his wife, Marie. Elizabeth was completely broken inside, but she tried to console herself that at least her 3 kids are having a better life. In fact, Joseph was provided a grant of £2,000 by the local council toward the building costs, which I think that's
crazy.
That's crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
Here, let's help you build a shelter to, like, keep your
daughter
down.
But I don't think that municipal, had any their fault.
Yeah.
There was a series of doors that needs to be opened before reaching the cellar where he had planned to keep Elizabeth captive. Joseph used to beat and kick her repeatedly. He forced Elizabeth to reenact scenes from The Saint of Heart.
Yeah.
This has left Elizabeth not only with physical injuries, but also psychological damage. Jeez, I can't imagine the type of therapy that she had to do after this whole situation. Right? She had spent the initial 5 months early just after his birth in the cellar in 1996. The child was facing difficulty in breathing and died in her arms when he was barely 3 days old.
And mind you, she was down there with no pain medicine, with having sex. This guy was taking her to the damn hospital. She was down there by herself, birthing those babies. Because this in that movie, and I'll have to say for a Lifetime movie, it was kind of graphic. Like,
I'm surprised that they let that go on the Lifetime movie club.
It's really intense.
Kind of surprised.
So don't watch it.
You-
I got caught. So.
Yeah. So Joseph later admitted that he burned the child's body in an incinerator. Sorry about, I didn't give a warning about that. I am sorry. Fritzl tried to defend himself during the trial, saying that Elizabeth protected her from the outside world. He locked her up, which I'm sure he had a very difficult time proving that case.
I know,
because,
right? Yeah.
I mean,
I can't imagine any juror on there would side with this sicko.
No.
I mean,
his lawyer tried to portray Joseph as a caregiver of both of his families. Her painful story came to an end when Kirsten, her 19-year-old daughter, needed urgent hospitalization.
Right, yeah. Yep.
Joseph Fritzl, who has never shown any mercy earlier, drove her to the hospital in his car, which in the movie,
goosebumps, because
which, spoiler alert, I just spoiled the whole movie,
Oh,
but but it's a trip. If you're looking for a good trip for,
you hope that she would get out in this.
Yeah.
She does. Sorry.
if you're looking for a good wreck for an hour and a half, this is
Right.
So the doctors who were attending to Kirsten became deeply suspicious looking at her condition. Doctors later alerted police officials about the whole incident. There was an appeal in the media which were broadcast information if they want to save her life. She, along with her 2 boys, saw the appeals on television in their basement. She then requested her father to let her go. Joseph Fritzl, who was growing old, saw his power waning and was finding it difficult. He started to hatch a plan as to how he could get rid of all of this without too many questions being asked. For the first time in 24 years, he had relented.
Yeah.
He told some stories to the hospital staff. However, both police officials and doctors refused to believe in his story.
Well, because she finally convinced him to take this child. She goes, "Are you gonna let your child die? I don't care what you do to me, but are you gonna let your child die? Because it was a kid, And so that one of the that was suspicious enough, thinking God to her something like, "I need help," or I'm not good or something. It was enough to where and that was when that one, she immediately called the security and they honed in on him. It was crazy.
So, nurses and doctors,
right? Yeah.
So
so
anytime they see anything that looks like it's suspicious, they have to report it.
Right,
so
yeah.
I'm sure that this situation did look very suspicious. So.
Right. Yeah.
I think anyone would have reported it.
I've never seen daylight. Imagine that. That's another thing. When I saw it, I was thinking to myself, they never saw sun and daylight,
Yeah,
and
they live such a depressing life,
but
honestly.
She did go on. So she did go on the ones that, because her mother did. The movie at least ends with her and her mom, and I think
reunited.
They're sitting out on a porch, and the kids are out there playing in the yard or something. So.
Which I read a little bit on she raised the kids and she had to go to therapy, obviously.
Oh my God!
For all those years because of PTSD and different things like that, which is completely understandable. But she's been trying to live as normal life as normal. So this whole story kind of made me sick, but at the same time I thought that it was definitely something that was interesting.
Yeah. Crazy.
But yeah, that's all that I have for the girl in the basement. Definitely, like I said, if you're looking. All right, so next week we're going to talk about a completely different topic.
Right. We're going back to 180.
So we're going to be talking about the history of sex You know,
Yeah.
did it really start with you? Kind of, you know, made sex a thing? You know, I think we're going to do our research and we're going to answer that question for you.
Yeah, digging a little deeper here.
So, you know, as we always say, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe with any crazy stories you might have or any ideas about future podcasts that you might have, because we love hearing from you.
Yep.
So our email is 2chicks-tell-all. Chics is CHIS. 2chicks-tell-all at YouTube with an idea, and you know, we'll see it and we'll, you know, take it into consideration, definitely.
Yep.
So I think that's all that we have for today.
I believe so.
All right, so it's 2chicks-tell-all. Signing off. It's your girl Tay Tay here. See you guys later.
Peace out.